But I think that's it. Yeah.
But you forget, buddy, Matthew McConaughey had an amazing beard in Reign of Fire.
Right, but was that his beard?
I mean, probably not, but it worked for the movie.
Feel you. Feel
Yeah.
you.
I mean, man, and dude, Reign of Fire, man, there should be so much more done with Reign of Fire.
That is an entire universe that should totally be,
Right?
explored.
Oh man, I mean, who doesn't love some dragons?
I mean, and that's another one, like a dragon death battle, like
Yeah.
Reign of Fire dragons versus Game of Thrones dragons versus, How to Train Your Dragon dragons. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. We need some
uh,
Michael Cera, right?
yeah. Oh
And Gerard
no.
Butler.
Gerard Butler. Thank you. I don't know. Could you just imagine that, like, legitimately? That dude, I should Google that guy has kids, because you just know when that gruff voice comes up, you will do your room. It's just like, okay, yeah. It's
Yep.
just
Dude, he's got a new movie coming out with Mike Coulter called Plane, and
okay,
it looks it looks awesome. I can't wait for it.
but no snakes on it. I take it.
I mean, hopefully they can maybe work that in there. I mean, I would take it, but we get Luke Cage with frickin'
Yes,
Leonidas.
with
So,
Leonidas.
I mean,
What
like, I'm
what
all
we
in.
need to bring back, somehow they need to do a prequel of the Spartans and
Mm.
straight up have, like, Luke Holter be like, some kid that moved his way from, Africa over to Greece and joins the Spartans or something, or just an invading army. Like, we need more Mike Holter. Just as a
We
general
do.
rule. I
Yeah.
don't care if that was my favorite thing about watching. I don't know if you ever watched The Good Wife or the Good Fight, but he plays a drug dealer, but at a high
I've
level.
never.
He steals the show.
Yeah.
He plays an admittedly bad guy, but he's not the street level drug dealer. Like, he's the
Mhm.
kingpin. Like, he
Ah,
basically is the kingpin. And just to see him in these spaces, he steals, like, so many scenes.
yeah.
So yeah.
He is such a good actor. I mean, I wish he would do more stuff like Luke Cage, or just go back to being Luke Cage. Because I mean, is there really a better Luke Cage besides Terry Crews?
And the whole thing with Terry Crews, I enjoy so much that Terry does, but Terry is so naturally
Mm.
funny. It's
Yeah.
hard to put him in a role that either there isn't kind of like God, Deadpool. I can't think of Deadpool's real name. Ryan
Wade.
Reynolds.
Oh.
Like, yeah, well, the actor. Yeah, like,
Mm.
even when, like, if you try and watch Ryan Reynolds in some dramatic roles,
Yeah.
you just want him to be funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that he can't do drama. You want, because he just has that face that you just know, and his delivery, there needs to be some humor here. So same thing with Terry Crews. Like, you got to give me something.
All right, Brian. Well,
Yes,
let's
sir.
get to the show, but
But
first,
I got to trump your butt first.
Ooh, okay.
Which is, and I'm putting it out here as we're getting close to the holiday season. If I have one wish for Christmas, I want a sequel to the Adam Sandler Longest Yard, because I want more Bill Goldberg, Kevin Nash, and Terry Crews.
Yes, that is the correct answer, man. That is
With R.I.P. some weird Cloris Leachman cameo Stitch thing with, and R.P. Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
You got to bring them back. You got to bring them back.
I
How about I pitched the plot. How about you have an actor who's in prison because he instead of Adam Sandler, you have an actor who's sent to prison for assault charges because he slapped the MC of an award show, who just so happened to be. Hey, it writes itself. All right, here we go.
It does. All right. So, but first, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Where does Santa hide his elves that mine coal for the naughty kids?
Where does Santa hide his elves who mine coal for the naughty kids?
I mean, you never hear about them, but
I just assume they're the Oompa Loompas. But
I mean, maybe, or yeah. I mean, right?
Mrs. Claus's closet. That could be weird.
That could be very.
That could be really weird. Yeah. You gotta wonder, when Santa's gone, does Mrs. Claus just kick back with the eggnog with the elves?
Yeah. She's got
Yeah.
her favorite couple.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we'll pull out of her. Never mind. Never mind.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay, do you,
Also,
boo boo? Yes,
Brian,
yes, sir.
if you work security at the Samsung store, does
Yes.
that make you a guardian of the galaxy?
Nice.
And with that, what do we say, Brian?
Let's play that funky music, sir.
All right, welcome to the Pandemic Presents Prevenge of the Nerd. We are your one-stop podcast. Every week, we are going to give you all the things to level up your awesome. You can also order my kids' book, Leveling Up My Awesome, on Amazon for $7.99, or contact me for an autographed copy for just a little bit more. And also hitting Amazon any second now will be the Stuffed Animal Night Force versus the Dream Invaders. All about thwarting little girls who get the help of Sergeant Ted E. Bear to help fight off the evil Dream Invaders invading those dreams.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's like Sandman and Teddy Ruxpin had a baby.
If that, man, dude, you're gonna have to write write the little
I got you,
word for the.
right? I got you. I got you, sir.
Yep,
Yes,
yep.
sir. Yes, sir. If the Dream and Teddy Ruxpin had a love child, well, actually, if it was the Dream and Teddy Ruxpin, it would be a really broken, flawed relationship, and this would be the result of their hate intercourse. And there you go. Yes,
I love it. This is how the show's going to go. We're going to start off with our top 5. We're going to give you our 2 cents worth and a penny for our thoughts about all the things we like, or maybe some of the things that didn't quite live up to our levels of awesome. Then we're going to tell you the stories that could have led to your favorite movies, TV shows, and so much more. It might be a list, it might be a pitch. One thing's for sure, your awesome will be leveled due to this. Just like if you buy my book, Leveling Up My Awesome, on sale on Amazon, $7.99.
I skipped the first finger, but I believe that is the second mention of it. Good job, sir.
Then we may play a little pitch, fix, or dish, but I think we got something a little bit different in mind tonight.
Yes, sir.
Now, I am the self-proclaimed Emperor of Awesome, Bradley Buchanan, and this is my co-host, the unverified twin of Shamar Moore, at least to the nipples.
Yes, sir. And that is Brian S. Dennis. The S stands for the package.
Welcome to the Pandemic Presents Prevenge of the Nerds, streaming live on Facebook under the Emperor of Awesome, YouTube and Twitch under the Pandemic. So don't forget to like, share, hit all the buttons that remind you on all the platforms. Don't forget to tell all your nerdy friends as well, so they can level up their awesome. Leia, do you want to tell people where they can find all the good things to do on YouTube for the show? I was going for share,
share,
like
subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And by the way, we have an emergency. I'm out of water.
So go fill some more. Go fill it up.
Why?
To be fair, her water emergency does not quite rival Flint, Michigan's or the continent of Africa.
Right.
But sure.
Yeah. You want to say hi to Brian?
Hi.
Either she's getting less loud in my ears or getting stronger. That wasn't that bad. That was
Right.
not that bad. Hello, princess. How are you?
Brian says hi. Do you want the earphones so you can
Sure.
hear him? Oh my god. In my ear.
Hello, Leia.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I think you should go get your water. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Let me talk to your dad. We're going to do this crazy podcast thing.
Do you know one thing I love doing the most?
Blowing out my eardrums, but what else?
His
All right. All right.
Bye.
Okay. All right.
I don't mind the happy dance though. The happy dance is pretty good.
The happiness is pretty good, especially when she's wearing a Thor shirt.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean,
I'm wearing this because it's really comfy and it's really good fabric.
yeah, yeah. All right. Brian.
At some point, she's gonna bring home someone, and you're gonna know they're really special because they will have all their eardrums completely bleeding outside of their ears.
And I'll be like,
Yes, yes.
that at a girl.
Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. What? Just it's fine. It's
Yep.
absolutely fine. It's fine, sir. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, Brian. So let's talk a little bit of our top fives, man.
Yes, sir. Well, if you don't mind, I'll start off with my war report. And this week, because I was super busy, I really only had 4 things that made my top 5, but they're things that I really dug. So I'm going to start off a little bit. I'm really enjoying the Shaq documentary on HBO. So they had episode 3 of it's a 4 episode total documentary. We had episode 3. Again, whether you are a huge fan of sports or not, it's a great inside look at one of the more well-known figures in sports and entertainment we've had in our really our world in probably past 20, 25 years, and told through really his eyes and those from people that know him best. Then it's done really well. I'm going to skip a couple, come to The Rookie. So this is a show that I love so much. I don't talk about it nearly enough in the podcast. It stars Nathan Fillion. Anything this man does is really done really, really well. I personally love Castle. His moments in the Santa Clarita Diet. Everyone, I think, really that are in the nerdverse will speak to you about Firefly. And then he's led The Rookie. Now I think this is season 4 or 5. But really, the best part of this episode had nothing to do with his character. It had to do with the ongoing love story. Spoiler alerts. Between Bradford and Chen, and we finally got what we've been waiting for.
Yes.
At least the beginning of it. So that was like, yes, yes. By the way, have you if you follow and you're nodding? So by the way, have you noticed who plays Nathan Fillion's love interest / fiance in The Rookie?
Yes. Jenna Dewan.
Formerly Tatum. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
formerly Tatum. Huge dancer.
Yes.
Man, she's been in a lot of stuff
yes,
lately as
she's
well.
a very good actress as well. But there's something to be said about even if it's on screen, you're having love scenes with Channing Tatum's ex. Because because my deal with it, I'm not Magic Mike. I am neophyte Nathan or something. I just have to go with something there. All right. So definitely check out The Rookie. And then the last 2 ones we talk about really regularly here on the podcast the last few weeks. Willow continues, I think, to do well. This week's episode, not as much. I hope this is not to go the way of Andor. Episodes 1 and 3 did not enjoy as much as I did episode 2, but still enjoying episode 3. And my last one of my 4 instead of 5 this week is Tulsa King. And sir, have you caught up on Tulsa King?
I am, I think, 1 episode away, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you so last week on the podcast, I talked a little bit about if you saw the previous episode, the last 5 minutes or so when he's talking about his brother. Did you happen to see that episode?
Yes. Yep.
And Stallone, again, to me, showing what a great acting chops he has when it comes to that. Well, Bradley, not to spoil anything, this week's episode spends a decent amount of time about the funeral and what his life has looked like, and you will find a reference for the package in that episode. And again, we get a further reminder that you don't F with Dwight.
Man, and the Taylor Sheridan, the 1923 premieres this next week. What else? The National Treasure Sheet TV show comes out
next Wednesday. This coming Wednesday.
Yep. Black Adam hits HBO Max next week.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of stuff popping up here. But yeah, I don't have a lot on my top 5. I'm glad you brought up The Rookie because The Rookie is really good.
Have you noticed though that Black Adam is more brown?
Yeah.
Almost Polynesian. if you will.
Yeah,
Just maybe deeply
I
tanned
mean, it's kind of rock solid.
a little bit. You know,
Yeah,
if you were to smell what he's
cooking.
cooking a little
Yeah, it's
bit
probably
there.
not very good. Maybe
Yeah.
take it, turn it
Yes.
sideways, and
And it was weird when he
yeah.
called Hawkman a Rudy Poo. That was kind of odd. I was like, I don't know if that's DC canon. It worked for me,
Hmm.
but I just don't know if that was, DC canon of, calling someone a Rudy Poo, and a jabroni. And for those of you that don't know it, we're speaking of the man's life before acting as well. So with that being said, yeah, so you say to have a whole lot, but glad I mentioned the rookie,
Yeah.
sir. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, and talking about Hawkman, Aldous Hodge, he stars
Yes.
in another show called Leverage. And have you
Yes.
had a chance
Yes.
to watch Leverage yet?
Yes.
Love Leverage.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and that's there's a new season of that going on. Really, I'm just gonna do some selfless plugs. I got the new book that came out. I'm Yellowstone. Man,
Mhm.
this week I was so busy with a lot of parties and stuff. But Yellowstone is still really good.
In fact, it's playing at the time of our recording, so that's always something to
Yeah.
get on as soon as we get done. Yep.
Now I will say, I am ready for Beth to just move on past Jamie. Whatever they need to do, that whole thing it's starting to become counterproductive. I mean, I get it, but it's not working anymore.
It's almost like you need Nick Cage just to show up.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just free the spirits, and
I
then you're
mean,
good.
if we can get a quality show out of Sylvester Stallone and the Tulsa King,
Yes.
where or when do we get Nick Cage? When does Nick Cage get his turn?
Or more importantly, when is Jamie gonna get his plastic bag back that he can film? Because it captures life. Bradley, what movie is that from, sir?
Gosh, man.
Dude, don't let me down.
Uh,
Don't let me down, sir. Oh gosh.
my mind is blank.
American Beauty, sir. American
Thank
Beauty.
you. Yes.
Yes.
Flashback.
Which,
Wes Bentley,
yes,
which is Jamie from.
yes.
Oh yeah, yep. The
Starring
pieces were
with
there. The brain wasn't.
with Kevin, we were discussing before the podcast started, with starring Kevin Spacey, and a under 18 Thora Birch, who does some topless scenes in that movie, which her parents had to be present for by law. Her parents, there's an interview with her. She goes, that scene was already awkward. She had not even had her first kiss yet. But to do that scene, that not only her mom but her dad, right there,
Ouch. And I
right
mean,
there.
I don't know if I would allow that for my kids, but
Yeah.
oh, I guess Kendall comes home from college on Wednesday, so that's pretty cool.
I'm a little weird that that's the reference that made in your brain. I'm a little concerned there.
Right.
But we'll move forward.
Yeah, talking about kids.
We
Yeah.
want to explore that any further. Yes.
Right. Last thing. So I did a new episode came out of the pandemic. I talked to Golden Duffy, who's written a couple of books all about spirituality. It was a great conversation, so go check that out. And then I'm going to also start doing the pandemic random conversations. That's just going to be streaming. I'm just going to do like 15, 20-minute conversations randomly throughout the week. So that's coming up pretty soon too.
I feel like random conversation is pretty much all we do. So
right? I know it.
So I feel like you're kind of podcast cheating on me, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'll I'll do the first one with you, buddy.
All right, as long as that can be someone's first, that's all that matters.
That's right. So let's go ahead and give it any honest advertising.
I do, sir. As we move further and further into the holiday season, so my honest ad for this month, at least until we get to the 25th, are honest ads related to Christmas movies. So this one is the honest ad for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I will do it in rhyme. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. He's the green furry hero in a Santa Claus hat. Bullied, shunned, and mocked for his beard, this super strong, super smart kiddo went from being considered weird to being feared. Isolated and exiled, only with his dog, an Ocean's 11 style plot emerged from the fog. Cindy Lou Who, that innocent little sprite, used all of her charms to set Whoville right. Some say she was approached and even groomed as Big Daddy G was seen tiptoeing through her room. A plot was hatched, a holiday cheermeister named Mayor Augustus Mayhew was truly to blame. In the Grinch's home, songs of joy began to fill. He began to grow 3 times larger, even without his little blue pills. This film is a classic from the very start. Remember, but we must all live free or die hard. Sir, the honest ad. How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
That's perfect, man. That was
From me to
definitely
you.
perfect.
From me to you, sir.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And we still have to get to Violent Night here within the next couple weeks. So maybe we'll do that when we take a week off after next week.
Yes,
So
yes,
we'll
yes.
might be able to spell it. So we're gonna do one more episode. Then we're gonna take the holidays off, and so we'll definitely have to hit Violent Night, and we'll probably have to hit Avatar as well because I know I'm gonna go to it next Wednesday or this. I'm going to it this Wednesday. They're really tight-lipped on it. So
The way of water, which
the way of water.
Isn't that just called a current?
Yes, it is.
I just would like Avatar current. I think I'd be like I would have just said. I mean, how much more does James Cameron need at this point?
Oh man,
bruh, yeah.
So I do. So he did come out in some articles, and I was like, that's stupid. Saying that like a lot of his earlier things, he regrets now. And I'm like, dude,
such as
Terminator, you know? Yeah, because I was just like, man, all right. After I start, I didn't even finish the article. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Okay.
Like, hey, you made history.
Now,
you got it.
Once you got past T1 and T2, there were regrets to be had. But
correct.
It wasn't that you made them. It was the content of the films that you made.
When the sequels get to T800, you know.
Yeah. I mean, come on now. I mean, how many? For no other reason than I would be proud if I created something as simple as the term "I'll be back." Like that is such, and we have to do it in an Austrian accent. Yeah, you ever when the people in Austria go look at Schwarzenegger and go, we don't all sound like that,
right?
Like, really, does Austrians just come like kind of like we had Again, I'm old enough to remember when Crocodile Dundee was really popular.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone tried to sound like Paul Hogan or Crocodile Dundee. And that was the assumption that everyone from Australia talked about, that's not a knife, that's a knife. And I'm not good at accents.
Yeah.
You got to want people in Austria to go, we don't all talk about running to a chopper, all those sorts of things. But I digress. Anyway, yeah, so... Yes, go ahead.
Do you remember the commercial that had Chris Hemsworth in it where they did a spoof like with Crocodile Dundee's kid?
Yes.
And everything?
Yes.
And after that commercial was so good, like everybody's like, that needs to be a movie.
Yes. So, I mean, Chris Hemsworth, I get who do you think is a better currently? Who do you think represents Australian action stars better? If you got to pick between Chris Hemsworth and no, well maybe
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, thank you. Yeah, Paul Hogan's still in the league. Like who if you had to pick one, Jackman or Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth, who you picking?
Jackman.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
I like Chris Hemsworth, but I think Hugh Jackman is way more versatile than Chris Hemsworth.
I mean, for no other reason than as soon as he, disembowels you with his claws, he may burst into song.
Exactly. And that what would be better than Wolverine the musical?
Dude.
Can you imagine the first word, the first song called Hey Bub?
Oh, my. And please give us for real the mutton chops. Like
Yeah,
I like they tried to kind of filter it into more like the beard shape, but I mean old school Wolverine, it was straight up mutton chops. There was no doubt about where we're coming from.
exactly.
He's backwoods to his core. So Hugh Jackman, if you're listening, and we know you are, mutton chops for Deadpool 3, straight up hardcore mutton chops,
Brian, what are
sir.
we talking about today?
Well, we're going to talk about the best of something, and apparently it's not podcast. So we're going to talk about the best in TV. So Brad and I do this in December. This is our second December doing this, so we now have history. But every week in during our December recordings, and we're recording, pardon me, on December 11th, 2022, is, hey, what are our best stuff things? So the things that really spark to us. And so what we're going to talk about tonight are our best things in television that include things that are streaming
Hmm.
on television. So as always, we don't compare our lists on MKs, we match. So I don't know about you, sir, but I've got some honorable mentions, and I definitely have my fave five, sir. So
Yes.
yeah, so I always struggle to remember who went first last week, but you are more than welcome to lead us off this week.
All right, sounds good. So I'm sure we're gonna have a couple crossovers, like we always do. And so I have my top five, and then everything else is pretty much all awesome. Uh, like to me, it was like one, two, three was easy, and
Sure.
then 4 and 5. I mean, like it went. That was the hard part.
Got you.
So, I'm gonna start with my honorable mentions with Tulsa King. Um, I love Taylor Sheridan's universe that he's creating. His shows are deep, they're entertaining, they're amazing, and they're getting really good people in there. So, but I'm also not caught up, so it's not like I'm not making it that much of a priority. But man, the show's so freaking good.
And they
It's
really have resurrected a few
Yeah.
careers. I mean, Costner and Stallone. I mean, not first off, not that either one of them probably need to do television shows
Mhm.
for money, but I mean, if you jump back a few years ago, no one would have predicted you would have seen Kevin Costner leading. Again, I think it's season 4 of a family drama, even though it's a rated M for like anything else show. And Stallone, I mean, before, I mean, he had been in the Apollo movies, but then he had the Samaritan, and
Mhm.
now this. I mean, there's a lot. Sam Elliott. I mean, just folks that you know. And again, not not saying that these are folks that were homeless and they needed to work, but folks that maybe you weren't leading the red carpet anymore.
Yeah.
That he's brought, and they have done this, and just
Mhm.
amazing casting. So great job out of him, the producers, the directors, all that, from really creating a really good shows, really
Yeah.
excellent shows.
So the next one is one of two animated shows that I have on here. And this one would be The Legend of Vox Machina.
Nice,
So
nice.
Legend of Vox Machina is a bunch of it's a Dungeons and Dragons. It's pretty much
It
Dungeons
is
and
Dungeons and
Dragons.
Dragons. It really is.
Right, and that's what it is. It's Dungeons and Dragons Critical Role. It's awesome. It's dirty. It's on Amazon. You should definitely watch it.
Was
Um,
not pushed that hard either. I mean, it was
no,
kind of just there. And I
yeah,
remember we both started talking about the podcast. You've got to watch this show. It's
yeah.
really good. It's excellent show.
Now after that, I have three letters, and I'll see if you can get what I'm gonna lay down with this.
Okay.
And those three letters are D D P.
Oh yes. Guardians of the Globe? Is that
Guardians of Justice.
Guardians of
The
Justice? Yes.
Guardians of Justice. It
Yes.
was so horrible. It was amazing.
Yes. And still one of the probably the third best Batman product.
Yeah.
Uh, he,
Yeah.
Nick Cage, DDP. Where would you in the canon of Batman? Because I mean, kind of like Tim Allen for Galaxy Quest, where you put him as a Star Trek captain.
Yeah.
Where do you put Nick Cage again? Where you put DDP as a Batman? Because I mean, saying it was thinly veiled is not even,
Yeah.
close to it. Just done so well.
I mean, I think they give him Superman. I think Nick Cage needs to come back as a Superman.
Just an aging gristle.
As an aging, yeah, give
Yes.
him like an old Eradicator or something like
Yeah,
that. You know?
yeah.
Oh man. So after that, I got to talk about a show that Brian and I both loved, but
Mhm.
for some reason, I think we were two of the only people that picked up on the joke. I'm talking about She-Hulk, man. I really enjoyed She-Hulk. I don't get the hate. You know what? I had fun with it, and you know, I watched the show twice.
Absolutely.
I got nothing. I mean, could there have been some other things? Yes, but the whole thing was a joke at itself. I mean,
It's
like,
a lawyer sitcom based on like what 80s and 90s lawyer shows look like.
right?
And it did, and again, and I'm stealing your time, but
No, you're
again,
fine.
this will not be a cameo every week show. And then she did to tell you about all the cameos that they're gonna have. And there was a cameo every week. And
Yeah.
yes, it may hurt your feelings, but yes, one of those cameos was Megan Thee Stallion. Absolutely, yes. But we also got Abomination, we also got Smart Hulk, and we also got Wonger. And come on now.
And Madison with Y. It's not where you think it is.
Yes.
And
Two
two
ends
N's.
with a Y. Yes. And again, if she does not, if they don't key on that duo with, something, whether it's a Strange with another Doctor Strange product, I would love to see them have to get a spinoff, something with the movies coming up. But we got to see Madison with two N's and a Y, and it's not where you think it is.
Oh, so here's what they do with it. I just thought of this. Here's what you have like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 type thing, and
Okay.
where they watch all the movies in the Marvel universe. There you go, Marvel.
Yes. While she's also for holding that beating heart.
Yeah.
That they still never addressed. Like, why was she carrying a beating heart? I remember she gave him like 6 drops of blood for something, like the Goat King. Like,
yeah.
What's happening here? Okay.
Yeah. So another one, Moon Knight is another honorable mention there.
Yep. Excellent show.
Not much to say about that, but Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. It's deep. You gotta watch it. It's more in the Middle Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What more can you ask for? We're finally getting it. It's years in the making. So
we found him that Sauron has really good hair.
Yes. Yeah, for a guy that falls out of the sky.
And you wonder where his contact went. Like, what's up with the red eyes, man? Like, did he collect some Visine? What's going on there? So yes, absolutely.
After that, we're going to talk a little bit about Reacher, which is based on Jack Reacher with Alan Rickman in the title.
Yes.
And the second season's coming out soon. I had a binge in the whole season in a day. I was gonna wait it out, man. I remember on a few episodes of the pod, we just sang the praises so much.
Yes.
And Alan Rickman is phenomenal. I don't know why he's not doing more out there in Hollywood.
He is built for anything that's action oriented. The guy is a brick house. I mean, the first time I remember seeing him of anything of note was he was in The Wedding Ringer with Kevin Hart and Josh Gad, and he's actually a if you've not seen The Wedding Ring, the idea of it is Josh Gad basically plays, real quick synopsis, Josh Gad plays, he's actually getting married to Kaylee Kuko from The Big Bang Theory. He has no friends. So he hires The Wedding Ringer, which is Kevin Hart's business, where Kevin Hart would be basically your best man for hire and give you groomsmen. And one of the groomsmen is the guy is Rick from Reacher, and he looks like he looks, but they also give him a stuttering problem that still seems that because when in doubt, he just rips his shirt off. And that's his superpower. Is when he's asked what he can't think what to say, just shirtless. And of course, it distracted me. So hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah, I remember him. He was actually Aquaman in Smallville.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I mean, he definitely has. And then he was Hawk and Dove in Titans.
Yeah. So he obviously gets the attention of, again, people that are doing DC shows, the Amazon folks. So you got to be, and again, get the second season of Reacher. But you really, again, like you said, I mean, the guy, again, very similar to the gentleman that plays Van from Reba and on Shameless. He's just a big, physically imposing. He never skips gym day.
Yeah.
So anything that's got to be physical, and he can also act. I mean, he's just a natural fit. So in our whirlwind, I know a lot of people don't like we have so many action superheroes. Not everything about superheroes, and it doesn't have to be. But he's definitely a fit for what so many of the popular products that we have between DC, Marvel, and it's everything else. Everything else.
Do you know what other nerdy role that Alan Rickman was in? There's a big one.
No, and I'm feeling disappointed. I don't. Okay.
He was Raphael in the newest version of the Ninja Turtles movies.
Okay. All right. You just won this episode, sir.
Yeah.
Nice job. Nice job.
So after Reacher, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but did you watch Outer Range?
I watched it again. I was rooting for Thanos, and it just didn't quite come together for me. Decent show, but didn't make mine.
Man, I love that show. So good, so good. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's weird. It's kind of X-Files-y, but it does. You can't miss anything, and it's not like really rewatchable.
Right,
if you watch it once, and you're good. Like I have no desire to want to watch it again.
Right,
but yeah, and so there's a couple shows out there like that. So
I wonder if the Buffalo from Outer Range is going to show up in Tulsa King. Just like awesome. It seems like that would be like something that could happen. Okay,
that would be so cool. And now to get to my final honorable mention, we have to talk about House of the Dragon.
Sir,
such a good show. So good, so good. Matt Smith, man, best thing since Doctor Who. I mean, obviously. I'm not going to spoil the show because I'm sure you probably watch it. Man, there is so much good in that. There's a lot more where that's going to come from. Enough said, Brian. Brian, want to fill in the blanks on House of the Dragon?
Well, House of the Dragon, again, it does so many other things. It picks up, it's a prequel, but it totally captures so much of the spirit of Game of Thrones. What I really like about it is it did what a good prequel should do. It establishes or expands upon characters that maybe you just knew of in name, like the Targaryens. Remember, when we get to Game of Thrones, there's one Target. Well, there's two, and then there's one. Targaryen.
Oh, then there's two again.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's really three, and then there's two, and there's one. Yeah. All right. And it's too creepy to sleep with my brother, but my nephew's fine.
Right.
Okay. I want to see that picture of Amelia Clark. Okay, here's the deal. You won't sleep with your brother. Of course not. But you're gonna unseat a woman who regularly sleeps with her brother by sleeping with your nephew.
Yep, sounds about right. Yep.
And you'll be naked half the time. Okay. All right.
For the first couple seasons, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But by the way, if no one knew that about Game of Thrones, sorry. All right, you've had time.
Yeah,
that's not even a spoiler. You've had time. But then from giving us expanding upon those characters, maybe we just knew a name. It started to also by the end of the first season. Now it's still 100 years before Game of Thrones, but we're starting to now meet the ancestors, or the predecessors. Well, I guess it'd be ancestors of the folks we know about. So we started hearing names like the Starks, like the Lannisters. There's actually a Joffrey, not related to the Joffrey we know in Game of Thrones, but just that name. So done so well, and I actually think I may like that better than the first. Game of Thrones hit a stride to me about season 3. So I think I like season 1 of House of Dragon more than I like season 1 of Game of Thrones. I like them
Okay.
both, but I think I definitely one season of House of Dragon has been better than the initial season of Game of Thrones. I spent the first 3 weeks of Game of Thrones going, who are those people in the snow? And why aren't we talking about them anymore? Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. So those were your honorable mentions. What do you got for your top 5?
My top 5, number 5 is going to be my other animated show. And we're going to go to the Star Wars universe, and we're going to talk a little bit about Tales of the Jedi.
Nice pick.
Tales of the Jedi was 6 short stories, episodes about 20 minutes apiece.
Yeah, you can watch the whole thing in about an hour and a half.
Yep. And you get to know a lot of backstory about Count Dooku and Ahsoka Tano. And man, I tell you what, if you don't love
and our girl Yazzle, which was to me the win. That was to me, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't walk away loving a character that you probably could have cared less about, then dude,
absolutely,
man, everything about the show is good. I mean, first episode was kind of whatever with the birth of Ahsoka.
Yeah,
I think they could have done better, but the rest of it was just amazing.
And the first episode, even then, it gave you some awe moments, like, oh, that was really sweet.
Yeah, cute.
The rest of it was just this badass, like, oh, okay, now what's up? It made me a fan of Count Dooku. It really did. You know, I mean, again, because I'm the one that always goes, hey, what if Count Dooku fought Saruman, right? But at the same time,
we're all for that.
Yeah, you really are. But it really does show you, and again, from doing this podcast with you, I was already a fan of Star Wars with you and a lot of things we've watched, and I got to give Disney Plus credit. It's made Star Wars more, it always was more, but really because there was such a gap between episode 6 and going back to episode 1 and all the positives come since then, the movies, the TV shows, that it kind of got whittled down to lightsabers and I'm your father. That was kind of Star Wars.
And losing limbs.
Yeah, and the weird brother-sister moment to make Han jealous, and George says, no, I knew all the time. Then why? But anyway, with all that, it's really, again, expanded so much, and this was just the latest Andor of a lot of the not misses. Andor. That was the weirdest sneeze ever.
Man, oh gosh, I had that attack. I had that attack earlier too.
It's seasonal. It's seasonal allergies.
Right.
But taking out Andor, just such great work they've done with Star Wars. And I know a lot of people dig Andor. In fact, I was reviewing before we did this, and I'll just finish this in 2 seconds. Andor made a lot of people's top 10 lists of shows this year. We both don't get why people weren't all on the She-Hulk bandwagon, but we were 2 people that could not get on the Andor bandwagon. So whatever. I mean, taste is taste, I guess.
I guess to be fair, we're way more cool than them anyway.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that. I agree with you, but I wasn't gonna say that because I do enough of that. But
I mean, so that's okay. That's okay. If Andor is what gets you to love Star Wars, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Wasn't my cup of tea.
No.
So I didn't have any alcohol in it. So after Tales of the Jedi, this is probably the newest show that made my list. And we are going to talk about Wednesday. Wednesday was such a good show. I mean, everything. Jenna Ortega, she's going to be able to do anything. I mean, man, if she wants in Marvel, she's going to get in Marvel. She wants in DC, she's going to be in DC. I mean, like, she is going to get her pick of choice. And
I mean, don't believe that Miles Millar was behind this show. So that shows you a lot of just a lot of the quality work that was done there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's seen Wednesday at this point, so I'm not going to talk about it, but
I've heard along with the amount of people that are going to be loving the Shuri Black Panther costume, the amount of folks that go, Wednesday is going to be one of the hot selling girl or anyone. It's going to be a really popular Halloween costume, or just, hey, let's just dress like Wednesday Addams because Wednesday Addams cool. Yeah. So and
all you need is a black dress.
Yeah. Well, and maybe also forget about Christina Ricci's take as Wednesday, because this actually made Wednesday a whole full person, right? It wasn't just, the golf person kind of played for laughter, a lot of tongue in cheek stuff, which is what Adam's Family has been either as a live action television series, a cartoon series, or a movie. There's a lot of tongue in cheek, like a lot of sight gas. Let's show the weird Adams Family versus kind of straight neighbors, right? This was kissing cousin with Stranger Things,
Yeah.
which I was not expecting. And the best part about, and I mean this, the best part about Wednesday, it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It was almost like X-Files. It really was. And they wasn't how it was built. I went in thinking, and I remember seeing a run like, these are 40 minutes and it's going to be a comedy. Okay. And it totally wasn't. And it's a great show. And I'm excited for season 2.
It was like you could watch it with your entire family.
Yes.
And a lot of shows don't go there anymore.
Yes.
I mean, I can watch that show with my 10-year-old and my 13-year-old right there, and we're all super enjoying it. So
yes, absolutely. You didn't get bored with it. And I give the credit. And if you don't know, again, if you haven't watched Wednesday, not a spoiler alert, but it definitely has a mystery component throughout it. And it was one of those that I was really happy that I was having to work to try and figure it out. Sometimes with television shows, they actually gotta bury the lead on who's the villain, who's the big bad, and they kept it really. I mean, they kept enough things that you could really have. Well, who do you think it is? Well, what about this? So, I personally really like that as well. Is that it was just a well done overall, quote unquote, mystery show that was just fantastic, and it had Gwendolyn Christie in it. You can't go wrong with having the big one from Game of Thrones. You just can't go wrong with that.
That's right. All right. So my number 3. It also this show made my top TV intro, The Peacemaker with John Cena.
Do you really want? Do you really?
Oh my god! So like, that's this was almost my number 2.
Okay.
It was almost my number 2, but something just edged out just a little bit, just because of personal preference, and so you probably know where I'm going with that.
Sure.
But this show had heart. It was good. It was well made, and it had no right to be.
It had no right to be as good as it was.
Yes, I mean, we got John Cena singing "Home Sweet Home."
Yeah,
I mean, like, and Brian doesn't even like Motley Crue.
For real.
Brian's biggest fears is Elf and Motley Crue.
Yes, I mean, me and Vince Neil, we got beef. He doesn't understand why we got beef. I was that dude that told it Poison versus Motley Crue, Poison. And there'd be like, I will tell you this part right now. I already have promised Bret Michaels both my kidneys.
I mean, that's fair.
And CC DeVille my nipples, but that's another thing.
No, you can't give away the Shamar Moore nipples, man.
Are you sure? Okay,
I'm
for
sure.
you.
No.
For you, sir. But it's a great show, and I've said this, I think, on the podcast. When you can basically have a serial killer who's raised by an evil Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon, that is legitimately the backstory, and you get the family dynamics, you feel sympathy and empathy for both Peacemaker and at times White Dragon. You did something right. Yeah,
it's storytelling at its best.
Yes.
I mean, really, like James Gunn, God, I'm glad he has the keys to DC right now.
Absolutely.
Because, like, if Peacemaker is anything to be told, I mean, like, he gets that storytelling part.
And Peacemaker would be what, a D-level character? I mean, he dug deep. I mean, and that's the other thing. Other than, and again, spoiler alerts minimally, other than the last episode, it had no significant DC characters actually in it. You had Peacemaker, you had Judo Master, Vigilante. I mean, again, these are D-level characters in all honesty. And again, other than explaining to me why Judo Master was 3 feet tall, and come on, it had a man being hugged by an eagle.
Right. you got and like have to love Eagly.
The amount of people who probably have had serious bodily injury for trying to hug a bald eagle.
That is,
That's a sign. That's a sign of a great show. What
right.
happened? I lost my eye. Why? Trying to hug a bald eagle. Well, okay, fair, 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 fair.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. So if you haven't watched Peacemaker, shame on you. You definitely need to. HBO Max. I hopefully there's gonna be more coming, more where that comes from.
All I can do is hear the theme song in my head now. By the way.
Yep, I know. It's been playing in my head all day.
Yeah. It's totally all. It's completely in my on my phone playlist. Like so many. Like I have a playlist called Peacemaker Hair Metal, and it's just basically the soundtrack from the show. It is
Yep.
absolutely that. Yep.
Yeah, I actually have. I actually went on Apple Music, and there is a Peacemaker playlist that you could just follow. Yeah.
Which again, before we move forward, is another hallmark of anything that James Gunn does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
there's
know,
something. I mean, he resurrects music like
yeah,
from Guardians of the
yeah,
Galaxy to,
yes,
I mean, everything, and he makes music part of the story,
yeah.
and so that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I've seen interviews where he will sometimes find the song first and write the song based on write the scene based on what the song inspires.
Yeah,
So that's why they fit so well, that he takes a lot of inspiration. I want to say for Volume 2 of Guardians, he said he had the soundtrack done before any of the script done. Like, these are the
yeah,
songs I want in here, and then that led the script. So
yeah.
absolutely.
So after that, my number 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Time out. I got to stop you here. I was getting ready to say I know 100% what your number 1 was going to be,
I know.
and I was going Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I'm just speechless. I am so intrigued now. So
Yeah.
number 2 is Obi-Wan. Please go ahead, sir.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. You would have thought it would be my number 1. However, there is a show out there that was better than Obi-Wan Kenobi by leaps and bounds. And Obi-Wan was fantastic. Ewan McGregor reprised the role. We got Hayden Christensen back as Vader. They told a good story. It was viable. It made you care more about Star Wars. If you like the old trilogy, the original trilogy, it hits you in the feels. If you're a prequel person, it hits you in the feels. It did everything right. Reva, they brought in some really good new characters.
Yes.
So
you also got James Earl Jones as the voice of Vader in those scenes as well. So you had a big mix. You had a great meshing between Hayden and James Earl Jones, and really comprising that character as Vader.
And that was his last time as it too.
Yes.
Yeah. So man, I Obi-Wan Kenobi, number 2.
I am seriously so intrigued about what your number 1 is. I have no idea. What is your number 1, sir?
Well, we're gonna hit a little bit back towards DC Comics for my number 1.
Okay.
And we're gonna talk about probably one of the best Netflix series that came out over the year.
Can I guess? Now?
Guess it.
Is it Sandman, sir?
It is Sandman.
Right, okay.
Yes, Sandman. Episode 5 of Sandman is gonna
Stop it. Just don't.
Episode that it will probably be it's probably the greatest episode of television I think I've ever. I mean, it's unforgettable. It's so amazing. I'm never gonna forget it. Out of all those shows that we talked about,
I just call it the baby episode. Baby episode. Yeah,
man. And
if you don't know, when I say the baby episode, I can guess some people. Now we know what number 5 was. Yep.
Yeah.
The baby episode. Yes.
Man, Sandman. It couldn't have been done better.
Yes.
I mean, like the Sandman was more of art than it really was a show.
Yes.
It was based it's based on a comic book character, but also just well.
It's a beautiful show.
It's a beautiful, beautiful show, and man, I hope it takes all of the awards. And man, that show was just I mean, it's definitely a show that I'm going to watch every year. I mean, so every year I start doing my Star Wars rewatch.
Sure.
on Christmas Eve. So I start.
Okay.
So I start with episode 1 because they haven't gone further back than 1 yet,
Sure.
and then I do 1, 2, and I go in chronological
You go
order
in
for
chronological order.
all
Okay.
Star Wars, and then
Including the
I'm
movie, you throwing some Rogue One in there as well?
everything, all the
Okay.
movies, all the shows, everything.
Okay.
And then I go to then I start on the Marvel, but I may swap it around this year because I think my wife wants to do a rewatch of Marvel. So,
Got you.
but
Um, just really quickly, with you saying Sandman is your number one, a great choice for number one. But the second thing of it would be, we do a very silly, tongue-in-cheek. We like to kind of have fun podcast for us and our friends. But one of the things that sometimes, like, I'm a grown man. I spend a lot of time watching, shows about aliens and raccoons who don't say they're raccoons and talking trees. And you tell I watch Guardians this weekend. But the other piece of it is then you see just the beautiful artistic skill of all these shows. And we live in a world where you can take something that goes big, things blow up, and there's all these, you've got this muscled up guy who goes, he'll kill every man, woman, and child that he has to in the name of peace and peacemaker, and see the humanness in that. And then you take another show about literally the abstract concept of dreams and how that affects humanity, and again find the human factor of that in Sandman. And there's a place for all those things, and each one of these and everything on your list just touch on just the different aspects of people, whether it's House of Dragons, Sandman, Peacemaker, on and on and on. So folks, this is one of the things that makes me really kind of say my nerdness. We'll put my chest forward a little bit. Say it with your chest.
That's
So
right.
that was an awesome list, my friend.
Thank you. I am excited to see how many that we match.
I'm doing the count now before I start my list. So we had a lot. This one, I'm curious if this one might be the number one this year. I should have keep track. 3, 4. We are we match because of I have 10. So I have 10 entries between 5 honorable mentions and 5 of my top 5 of my list of 10. 6 of them match yours.
Nice.
So
what you're saying is I forgot about 4.
Yeah. That's I am number 4. Really? Are you though?
Oh,
but are you?
Hey, that's on Hulu.
Yes, of a movie that needed a sequel so much. I was just like, wait, what? Come on.
I mean, like when you see a movie title, it's called "I Am Number 4."
Yeah,
and you're like, what is that? It's marketing done right. I mean, because you wanted to watch
it. We live in a world that they made a sequel to Weekend at Bernie's, but we didn't get a sequel to I Am Number 4. Like, there was more to be done with the dead guy at the beach than the alien savior of the universe. That story was not okay. Yeah. All right. So, okay, here we go. So, here are my honorable mentions. And again, number 1, sir, or first thing, sir, you did a great job. So, here are mine. So, my first honor, and my honorable mentions are in no particular order. I throw them out there. So, first up, I'm going to mention She-Hulk. I can't think of anything else to add than, again, you and I felt like people just didn't get the joke. I think She-Hulk was done extremely well. I've rewatched it a few times myself. All the cameos, all the Wonger, all the Madison with 2 N's and a Y, but not where you think it is. The Abomination and all the stuff is gonna. And again, they've now gone where instead of shows into the movies started moving to the shows. The shows lead to the movies, where there's definitely going to be stuff done with Wong, with Madison, with Abomination separate for She-Hulk. That is just so great. Just really so great. Rings of Power. The only reason that Rings of Power was not in my top 5 is that it felt like it. I mean, and I think Rings of Power was really hurt by coming out at the same time as House of Dragon.
Yeah,
because it's really easy to compare those two. I think if they come out separate, because again, those universe, Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. I mean, obviously, Game of Thrones pulls a lot from Lord of the Rings, and what Tolkien created. So as Harry Potter, as well, pulled from a lot of Tolkien inspired things. I think Rings of Power came out before House of Dragon. I think would have fallen been much higher, but just a comparison, it doesn't quite. It's good. It's really good, but again, going from one to the other week to week, I think that's hurt how I viewed it. My next two have nothing to do with sci-fi, but they were great shows. So, which are the ones we didn't match on? Which is The Patient. Which if you've not seen The Patient, it is on FX and Hulu. It
Oh, Steve
basically
Carell.
Steve Carell, very great show, great show, great show. And The Bear, which was really good. I forget the young man's name, but he played Lip on Shameless, talking
Yeah.
about taking over a family, basically restaurant in Chicago, while he was one of the best culinary chefs, and just a great show, great heart. Um, um, Both The Patient and The Bear are half-hour shows with commercials, so they're 20-ish minutes without. So so you can find them both on Hulu, and they both are on FX. So I think we talk about the broadcast stations, or it's a cable station that has
Mhm.
really good cutting edge television. FX really is one of those networks. And then it is my honorable mention. It was your number one, Sandman. Sandman. Can't say enough about the show, especially you say it's episode 5. I call it the baby episode. Just we all know that human beings have a bit of a time clock. Mortality is something that
Yeah.
is hard to. So of the 7 members of the Endless, you have Dream, and you see a couple members of it. You see Desire, but then you see Death, and the way that they handle the actual concept of death and how death is used in the show, and that very specific episode. And I think we both have, so when they do, and not to spoil too much, you can definitely just watch episode 5 if you want to see what we're talking about. If
Mhm.
you've not watched Sandman, uh, with that entire, when you get what the theme of that episode and the unifying knot of that episode is, and when you walk to that one place, you
Yeah.
go no, and then you go yes, and again, spoiler alert. But when Death, his sister, goes, that's all you get. And that was just wow.
It will bring a tear to your eye.
I'm not crying, you're crying. I'm
Right,
not crying,
exactly.
you're crying.
There's dust in the air. There's definitely
Okay.
dust in there.
I actually came up with a term for us for if you wanted to say you're not crying, and I own this, I've trademarked it. I haven't, but I will. Is ocular perspiration.
I love that.
Right?
That's
So there you go.
amazing.
Ocular perspiration. Are you crying? No, that's
That's
ocular
ocular
perspiration.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right, which means I'm crying, damn it. Okay. Now, on to my top 5. I got to say, this is I love your top 5 your honorable mentions, but I am shocked. I really am shocked. This show did not make it, but which my number 5 is Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It was right there. I it was right there. I was like,
Yeah.
but then I figured I already had She-Hulk in there.
Sure.
But yeah, it was
Yeah.
close.
I mean, I think that speaks to, again, we take our shots at Andor every week, and we will continue. But I mean, I think you
And or something else.
and or yes, yeah, or and snore, yeah. I think though we honestly could have done this show with our top 5 or top 10 and just said Disney Plus. Between Marvel, I mean, we didn't mention, and again, I have to go back and see when first episodes of things happened. But like, I mean, we didn't. I mean, you mentioned Moon Knight. Moon Knight is not on my list. Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier. I mean, Hawkeye and Captain America. I have to go and see when that came out. I mean, there's just all these great shows that were there. That, I mean, Disney Plus, primarily with their Marvel and Star Wars shows. I mean, Hocus Pocus 2, really good movie. I mean, just have a lot of things that are there. So that's one of the reasons why Moon Knight and things like that didn't make my list, and I didn't want to be too Disney Plus centric. So, so jumping from, but again, Miss Marvel, this is a show that a lot of people have been waiting on, including myself. So you know the backstory of Miss Marvel and the casting. That by itself makes it a fantastic show, but it was just pulled off really well, and I can't wait to see Marvel's as well as where she lines up in the larger universe. Okay, my number 4 is season 4 of Stranger Things.
Yeah, that was one of those. I was like, man, why didn't I didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about even though my brain is still all about Violent Night.
Yes.
I still didn't think about Stranger Things, but season 4 on here.
And this is not her fault, but actually she is so good as 11. I struggle to enjoy Enola Holmes because I keep seeing her as 11, keep seeing her, so I keep like, why does she have hair? I don't like it. Shave her head.
Why isn't your nose bleeding?
Yeah, where's the psychic powers? Where's
Yeah.
And again, one of my favorite things, we both are kids from the 80s and 90s. The fact that you see Winona Ryder, Matthew Modine, Paul Reiser. I mean, so many of these folks that Sean Astin, so many RIP. Well, in the show he's RIP. He's not RIP.
Bob.
Yes. We have all these great 80s dynamics that just go, wow. So it also goes, these people had, again, this Stranger Things is really the Goonies meets the X-Files. It is such a great retrospective of the 80s and the things that back when I've seen a few people that's on social media, our parents had no idea how far we used to ride on our bikes.
Yeah.
They had no idea. We just had to be back by a certain time or before the street lights came on. And what happened especially during the summer, what happened between then and then, my mom was a school teacher, so in the summer was her time to chill. She had a second job. Her big thing was she would leave the house around 7:30 in the morning. Her deal was you will be home before the street lights come on. What I did between then and there, thankfully there were no cell phones to record. The adventures was told. All I needed was Cyndi Lauper, playing in the background, right? Okay. My number, which I am so shocked here, my number 3 is your number 2, Obi-Wan. Just so good. And I loved it because I went into Obi-Wan thinking, and I was real excited for Ewan McGregor. And again, spoiler alert, but there was so much of this that was, you mentioned that they did such a great job with Vader and Obi-Wan. They expanded Leia, your daughter's namesake. They expanded Leia so damn well in this that actually I was like, Luke who?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Luke. And that's great because think about it again. Everything was Luke. Like Leia, everything was Luke and Han Solo, right? So she's Luke's sister, she's Han's, girlfriend, eventually wife. But this made, along with really episode 8, really showed Leia as what a strong person she is. So I loved it. That made me love Obi-Wan so much. My number 2, House of Dragon. Already talked about that. Fantastic. If you've not seen House of Dragon, the only warning I would give you is that they do a lot of time jumps in season 1. So if you really enjoy an actor or actress and they play a kid, enjoy them for about 2 episodes and they probably won't see him again. Which we talked about it with the princess. Like, I kind of like the original actor a little bit better, but things happen. And sir, so by the way, what we've matched on, the 5 we've matched on, are in different positions, but She-Hulk, Rings of Power, Sandman, Obi-Wan, House of Dragon, and my number 1. Before I tell you what it is, sir, I just have one question for you. Do you really want to taste it?
Yes, I really do.
It is Peacemaker, sir.
It is Peacemaker.
It is. There was not a doubt in my mind once I started doing my list. Like, what is the best show? There are so many shows that I really like. There's so many shows. Tulsa King. If had Tulsa King's entire season been done, I probably throw Tulsa King minimal in an honorable mention. Moon Knight could have definitely been there, and I talked about not trying to make it Disney Plus centric. All those things. But when I thought about just so let's jump to Halo just real quickly. Neither one's put it on our list. We had really high expectations of Halo. Not a bad show, but it came down a little bit.
Yeah.
Peacemaker, and again, I told this before. I like Suicide Squad far more than the Suicide Squad. So I'm watching this thing and I go, I'm gonna watch it. It's
Mhm.
John Cena. I'm a wrestling fan. It's based on a big DC thing. I was actually gonna say, hey, I want to see if Amanda Waller's in this. And then the entrance hit, and it was, and again, we love the entrance. But I tell you, the first time I heard, I'm like, what is this? And
Right?
then it almost, and I give James Gunn credit, but it almost made me go, this is going to be a joke. Like, this show's going to be stupid.
Yeah.
And 2-3 minutes into it, I'm hooked.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what is this? And it made you and they also stayed away from characters that have, like, okay, so you got the big bad and the butterflies. But as far as like the good guys, no one's got really any superpowers.
Yeah.
It's just badasses. It's just people and they made the team so human.
Mhm.
And I fight every week calling you Diebeard. It's just I fight the urge so often. But you are the Emperor of Awesome. But Peacemaker, and the more you learn about it and the soundtrack, and it's not just that they pick great music, folks. They pick music that really succinctly does a scene
Mhm.
and draws everything that happened in an episode. It puts all those things together. Cena does such a great job. The people that play Vigilante does such a great job. The entire supporting team does a great job. And like I said, and they do this with D level
Mhm.
characters, including Robert Patrick, who deserves, because I don't know Robert Patrick, but given some of the lines and things he has to say and the amount of gusto, and I mean this as a compliment, the amount of gusto that he says them with, that you really go, he's a flipping racist.
Yeah.
He's like, it goes, and the best parallel I can give that I'm done with my list is if you've ever seen A Time to Kill,
Mhm.
and Kiefer Sutherland, again, being from the South, Kiefer Sutherland reminded me so much of that Southern, just of that racist side that
Yeah.
unfortunately still is a part of our country. And then you go, his dad played the complete opposite in the same movie, which I thought was awesome. But it's go like, that's hard.
Mhm.
That's got to be so hard when you got to play a character that probably is so anti who you are as a human being. I personally don't think Robert Pattinson is a superpower white princess Nazi. Not Robert Pattinson, Robert Patrick.
Patrick, yeah.
But maybe Pattinson, you never know. But he does so good that I again is given. So Peacemaker
Mhm.
is my number one. But I think the last thing on this is we were given such a great year of entertainment
Oh,
that we
man.
came up with lists that were really similar, but also had
Mhm.
some differences.
Yeah.
And there were things we left off
Oh, I'm sure.
because our list could have been the top 20. We probably still would have been leaving stuff off. But
Oh.
this is just a great year. This is a great year.
Oh yeah, I'm sure 15 minutes after we stop recording, I'll be texting
Yeah.
you and be like, dude, how did we forget X?
Yeah.
How did we forget
Or you
Y?
like me, or me personally, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna binge Moon Knight. Like I've done it a couple. I'm gonna go revisit Moon Knight. I kind of forgot
Yeah.
about it a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, with Peacemaker, and I've said it, I don't know how many times, but Peacemaker gave us a show that actually made you care for a super racist guy who was
Yes.
a superhero for the KKK.
Yes.
I mean, like,
Yes.
that sentence should not even be said.
Yes.
It's like, and then just the gravitas between about the actor. You're just like,
Yes.
whoa, what?
Think about it, where this guy, and again, the fact that this is a role played for by a man who is famous for being a professional wrestler and doing a couple things like Daddy's Home and some commercials, but he really does carry a 8 or 10 episode. I think it's 8,
Mhm.
an 8-episode hour-long shows. Oh, again, by the way, Peacemaker not for kids. If you've not gathered that, if you got kids younger than probably 13, not the show for them. It really
Yeah.
is not. But that being said, teens and adults, it's got language, it's got nudity and some definitely. And Peacemaker is very proud of certain parts of his anatomy. That being said, again, for all the things that should be just for a bunch of bros watching it, it's like something that you can go, wow, this has some good heart in it. So it's really just, again, a great show. Great show. And again, I'm looking forward. And again, I'm so glad he's got the Kings to the DC Universe Kingdom. Absolutely.
All right, Brian.
Sir.
Now we got a little bit of this or that, right?
Yes, we got one more for you. So so Bradley and I were talking again. We're just talking. What do you want to talk about this week? And one of the things we kind of talked about was, what about Santa? Because we're getting so close, and we all love Santa. Like, who are our favorite Santas from movies? And we thought, how can we do it? We also wanted to do television one. So I decided I was going to integrate a couple things. So I'm going to merge two of our tasks we've done in the past. We've done a which came first. We've also done a death battle. So I have a who came first Santa Claus death battle.
All right, I'm up for it.
So here it is. I've got three.
Okay.
So first thing is, it's a twofold mission, sir, if you choose to accept it. I'm going to give you two Santa-ish, and I stress the ish. Carrie, I want you to tell me which one of them came first, but then if these two were in a death battle, who would win and why?
Okay.
All right. So again, I've got three matchups. For matchup number one, we've got, and these two are picked because in their movies they wore Santa hats. So we've got Clark Griswold, aka Chevy Chase,
Yes,
in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, versus Louis Winthrop III, or Dan Aykroyd's character, in Trading Places. So first off, which came first? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation or Trading Places? Which came first?
Trading Places. Dan Aykroyd.
Yes, Trading Places,
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd. It's kind of an easy one.
And not by much. I mean, I think about a good year or two, wasn't it?
Oh, no, 6. Yeah,
Okay.
Trading Places 83, Christmas Vacation was 89.
Gotcha.
Now, Lampoon's Vacation was right there, but Christmas Vacation was a few years later. So then, who in a death battle, who's winning? Clark Griswold or Louis Winthrop III, and why?
Clark Griswold is going to win.
Okay.
Because he has dumb luck. Because he is just going to get lucky in all the things, and that is how he's going to win. He's not even going to know it's a battle.
Sure. I would have also accepted he would tag in Christy Brinkley, and she would shut it down. And although
that's
Jamie Lee Curtis back in the... Anyway, we'll move forward here. Okay. All right. I accept that. Okay. Are you ready for your second battle, sir?
I'm ready for number 2.
All right. Number 2. These are actors both who played Santa. Kirk Russell's Santa in the
Chronicles.
Yes, or Paul Giamatti's Santa in Fred Claus. Which comes first, Christmas Chronicles or Fred Claus?
Fred Claus comes before Christmas Chronicles.
Yes, sir. 07 versus 2018.
Yeah. But you know what?
And remember, it's the characters, not the actors. So not Kurt Russell versus Paul Giamatti, but Santa versus Santa.
So, okay. Well, okay. Tom, we got to go and pause. Apparently, Leia wants to tell you something.
Okay.
I learned how to make these bracelets, which are these. They're rubber band bracelets instead of bead bracelets. I have orange, yellow, pink, blue, purple, and yellow. Are any of those your favorite color? Because I can make you one.
I would like purple and orange if we can do that.
Purple and orange?
Yes.
Purple. Yep, purple and orange. Did you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, purple and orange. Okay, go.
Thank you.
Eat your waffles. Make the bracelet.
Okay.
All right. So
that was awesome. I'm excited for my bracelet now.
So we're gonna talk. So Paul Giamatti or Kurt Russell.
So Santa Kurt versus Santa Paul.
Right. Santa Kurt, because for Kurt Russell, his Santa Claus did a little bit more action. I think
he did.
He was a little bit less like big. He got to come home to Goldie Hawn. Plus, Kurt Russell is just like, any man that can grow that kind of facial hair, he's going to win. I mean, I must ask you, what would you think? But who would win? Who would you think would win that battle? I must ask you.
Yes, well, thank you. And it is totally Kirk because of the mustache, because of the beard. And when in doubt, I'm going to pick the Planet Ego over the DEA agent from The Hangover 2. You guys got to go there. Just
Yeah.
got to go there. Just
Yeah.
got to go there. Or here's the deal: when you play second fiddle to Martin Lawrence in Big Mama's house,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus a guy who's in a long-term relationship with Goldie Hawn.
Mm-hmm. And their kids, Kate Hudson.
Most convoluted relationship ever, Kate Hudson's stepdad. There are lots of movies that start off with that premise, and we'll move forward. Okay. All right.
Woo.
You boo boo. Okay. All right. Okay, and they're not even married. All right, okay. Last one, sir. I'm digging this. By the way, you're 2 for 2.
Nice.
I only had 3 this week, so you won. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So the last one, though, which is the one closest to my heart. So the last one is number one, which came first? Either the original Santa Claus with
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen playing Scott Calvin, or my personal favorite Santa ever, which is the Willie Soap character played by Billy Bob Thornton in Bad Santa. So first off, which came first, the original Santa Claus or Bad Santa, or the original Bad Santa?
Yeah, so the original Santa Claus came first because I was in the mid 93, 94.
Right on at 94.
Yep, and Bad Santa was in the 2000s.
03. You're exactly right.
Now, I like Bad Santa better than Santa Claus.
Okay.
Especially have you seen the show?
I tried. It's all the things I don't like about Christmas movies. Like, yeah, we're just not gonna do this. Yeah, just not gonna do this.
So I want to say the logical answer would be Tim Allen's Santa Claus because of magic and stuff like that.
Sure.
But Billy Bob's Santa Claus is way more cool. And there's something about an inappropriate Santa Claus that is just going to win. And so I'm sorry, Tim. You are not the last man standing on this one. And your house is definitely needs some home improvement because Billy Bob Santa is coming to town, and he might be drunk, might be high, but that's okay.
As well as, and I agree with you, and you can also add in, number one in Bad Santa, Billy Bob talks about when he gets so drunk he doesn't feel pain. So I doubt the magic will really affect. Not to mention he would just throw Tony Cox at him, and I think that was gonna be the end of it. Yeah, absolutely. And once you get Gilmore Girls on your side, can you ever lose?
I mean,
can you ever lose? Ever lose?
No, you can't.
So, as a revamp, you were 3 for 3. You were perfect tonight. Well, you're perfect anytime, if you ask me, sir. So you correctly went that Trading Places goes before National Lampoons. You picked Clark Griswold over Louis Winthrop. Again, Clark Griswold with the dumb luck, which is an amazing superpower. We've got Christmas Chronicles, which came after Fred Claus, and you've got Kurt Russell or Santa Kirk beating Santa Paul for All the Reasons. And then last but not least, we have that the original Santa Claus came out in 94. The original Bad Santa came out 9 years later in 03. And we both would pick Billy Bob Thornton's character Willie Soak over Tim Allen's Scott Calvin for no other reason than, it's Billy damn Bob Thornton.
Exactly. Yes. Brian, I can't wait for you to see Violent Night.
I am waiting. I'm excited. And again, I'm a David Harbour fan. And you're one of probably 3 or 4 of my friends that have said it is just
so good.
All incredibly awesome. Yeah. So we'll do that. And again, if we could, somehow get a Stranger Things, just a little bit of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think that would be amazing. Or again, just have, Again, of shows that have this impeccable music, we've got it down there. So, sir, you have crushed the which came first, Santa Claus death battle.
Yes. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy,
sir.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
keep my L's out of your mouth.
Okay.
That sounded way creepier.
I love it.
That was in my head. That was just a really weird Chris Rock, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith thing. But when it comes, yeah, okay. All right, sir, save me from ourselves.
Before we get into that, did you watch Emancipation?
I have not actually.
I think it's out now.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know. We may try to watch it tonight yet because I know it's on Apple. It's hard to think of Will Smith now without the
slap.
The slap, right?
Yeah.
And to even take him any serious, so he should have done a comedy to try to come back.
Yes.
But
the things that are kind of already in production in the can. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we need now? We need Bad Boys 4. We need Bad Boys 4.
Or New Hancock.
Yes, yeah. But at this point, you might go, well, Hancock maybe is more stable than Will. Yeah. This is like, wow. And again, if I was better at making memes, again, R.I.P. to James Avery, who played Uncle Phil.
Mm-hmm.
But Uncle Phil just looking down on Will, just going,
Yeah.
Or you know what? I got it. I know what Will needs to do to fix his career. Like, he needs to go on television about a week or two before the Oscars, and he needs to get really upset, and he needs to talk about the Academy, a la Will Smith, when he realized that Ben Vereen doesn't want him. He just starts crying and goes, "Why don't he want me, man?" And I think that would just do it.
I think
that would do it.
And then he'd have to say, "I am legend."
Yes. Yeah. You know what? And while we have all wanted to slap Chris Rock, you just shouldn't do it.
Right. And with that, where can we find you, kind sir?
All right. As always, you can find me on Facebook at Brian Stephen Dennis. Feel free to give me a like, give me a follow, or give me a friend request. And as always, we try and keep it kind of fun and entertaining on our Facebook page.
Yes, and tell us what your list would be for 2022 in the comments. And you know what? We'll have some fun. I'll talk. Brian will talk. It'll be a fun time. We can talk
However,
about his
do not say Brad needs a new co-host. I would really appreciate if you did not do that.
Yeah, because I'm not firing Brian. Sorry.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. This is our thing.
Yeah.
This is our thing.
Thank you.
You can
again, but remember, as always, keep your elbows out my mouth. At your
you can tweet at me at Pandemic3, message me on Facebook at the Pandemic Now, active on TikTok sometimes. Not lately, actually. But
I noticed we got to get more TikTok content. I'm waiting.
Yeah, I know. Like every week, I sit there and I'm like, you know what? I need to start doing like TikTok videos to promote Prevenge and Pandemic, and just talk about what we're doing.
I just said you can layer your phone, and it'll kind of write itself at that point.
That's a good idea. She might get a real talk tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So if you want to support the show, there are several ways to do so. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thefandemic. Brian and I will cheers you on the next episode.
Absolutely.
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/PVOTN Fandemic. You can become an episode assistant, an episode producer, a Prevenge producer like Stacy did, or yes, you could be part of the con. That's right. You could be part of the Council of Nerds, starting at $5 a month. You could also go to PayPal or Venmo if you want, or just share the show with someone you want to make a little more awesome. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review. And remember to keep the conversation alive in the comments. What works for this podcast? What doesn't work for this podcast? We're going to be shaking some stuff up in the new year. It's going to be awesome, and we can't wait for you to check it out. Brian.
Sir.
I think we are at max levels of awesome.
We buried the needle yet again, sir.
Let's end like we always do on a positive note.
As always, we want to thank you for leveling up your awesome with us. We really appreciate your time, your comments. Please have a good week. And please remember, no retreat, no surrender. And Goonies, never say die.
We're all playing the same game in life, just on a different level. Thanks for catching up. You're welcome for leveling up your awesome. Live free or die empty. Have a great day. Oh, you know what? One thing that we haven't done. Oh, we better get the music for Leia.
Got to spin that stuff.
That's right. We got to get the Leia song in here. And there we go.
Get your earphones in, everybody, and everybody hear us out. We are PVOTN and Brian Dennis, and this is PVOTN. We've got my dad leveling up your awesomeness, dropping knowledge of TV, movies, and comics. We've got Brian Dennis flexing his nerd muscles. How you level up your awesomeness? He will solve the puzzle. Just when you thought you've heard it all, a new episode will come along. Won't you like, subscribe, and rate our show? One last thing. Leave a 5-star review before you go. Oh yeah!